Welcome back. At the start of the pandemic, Fauci and other experts told us that 60% of America would have to be vaccinated before we could get back to normal. Then it became 70%, then 80%. Now Fauci tells the New York Times it could be 90%. And he admitted he'd been deliberately moving the goalposts because America wasn't ready to hear the truth. But whether it's 60, 70, 80 or 90, it is all part of the establishment's vaccine groupthink. And it is dangerously wrong. If we just targeted the vulnerable, we could end lockdowns by the end of this month. Instead, Fauci and the establishment want to keep it going, despite all the death and destruction they're causing. Sarah, it's just unbelievable to me. Do you remember at the beginning when those of us who were arguing against the lockdown said, no, there's an alternative strategy here, protect the vulnerable. And then they would say to you, well, how are you going to protect the vulnerable? What does that even mean? Now we have a highly specific way of doing it, i.e. the vaccines, and they're not even interested. They don't care about whether this is scientifically justified. It seems to me they just want to keep this lockdown going because they're ideologically committed to it.
That's absolutely right, Stephen. Just even look at the beginning of this year with Dr. Fauci and the masks. Obviously, he thinks it's okay to just say whatever comes out of his mouth, whether it's the truth or not, to the American people. Remember, in the beginning, he was saying, no, please don't go out and buy masks. It's really not going to help you that much at all. It's not going to help anyone. Make sure they're out there for the medical professionals. And then he said, well, I didn't mean to say that. I was just trying to save the masks for the medical professionals. And now he's moving the goalposts all the way to 95%. And look at what's happening in Great Britain. Look at what's happening in Canada. Look at the gentleman that went out and, hugged people in the street in front of the police, and then they handcuffed him because they said he was exposing people and putting people's lives in danger. This is a trampling of our rights, our human rights. And how far will this go? And I think what you said is absolutely something that we all need to think about. How far are we willing to allow this to happen before we actually start questioning and saying, wait a minute, when is enough enough?
Yeah.
And when are we going to get the truth from our medical professionals?
Exactly. And Janelle, when the lockdown started, the justification was, look, we know from the data that most people who get this are going to be fine, have mild or zero symptoms. But obviously, as we know, it's incredibly dangerous for a small proportion. And the data is very clear. That's elderly people. So even though you may not be at risk, we're worried about you taking it home to grandma and infecting her. If we can vaccinate grandma and grandpa and the people who are at risk, then the justification for the lockdown just falls away. But there's no acceptance of that.
That's right. That's completely right. It's almost like they want to completely destroy this economy until we have nothing left. And it's a really scary thought. And, I think the biggest issue for me is that we have someone that's in government who feels like they can make decisions for my health care much better than I can for myself. Had you told us the truth and let us decide what's best, then we probably would be in a different position. But instead, he decided that it's better to lie to the American people and be untruthful versus allowing us to make these decisions. And to your point, the economy is what is taking the hit. They are taking the hit. These small businesses, these restaurants. We talked to a restaurant owner just this past weekend who had to shut down one of his restaurants that he said he'll probably never reopen, and then he lost half of his staff. And so the level of stress that's causing our business owners and the economy and just everyone that's a part of this is just unbelievable. And it's sad that, we're not, that Fauci is not getting the same level of criticism that they gave the president when he simply wanted to make sure he made a strong decision without jumping to conclusions.
And Matt, the other aspect of the vaccine thing I'm just noticing is how the rest of the media are just desperate to try and find any way to criticize President Trump, even though it was his action that got us the vaccine so quickly. They're saying that the rollout is a disaster and so on. Let's just put up the data on this, which shows the proportion of populations of certain countries, large countries, that have already been vaccinated. This is a league table that the US is practically at the top of. The only major country doing better than us right now in terms of vaccinations is the UK. They approved the vaccine, of course, days before we did. We're rapidly catching up. Seems to me they're just literally not prepared to give the president credit for anything, and they just want to hit him every way they can, even when the facts don't justify it.
Well, and you'll remember, Steve, it was actually Dr. Fauci who said that it would be 18 months at a minimum before we would even have a vaccine. But as a consequence of the president's focus and marshaling our nation's great resources, we were able to have that time. So it turns out Dr. Fauci is a government official. He is not Yoda. He is not the oracle of all things true or false. But you're right that the medical industrial complex right now is at a zenith of power. These unelected people quite literally have the power to deem our fellow Americans essential or non-essential, and they can rack and stack different populations of Americans for prioritizing the vaccine distribution. I found an interesting website, covidpredictor.com, where some American innovators found a way to use your DNA sequences alongside other comorbidities and predictors to ascertain what your risk score would be for COVID. Using science would be a lot better than using politics or just the desire of government officials to exercise their control over people when making these decisions that are so consequential to our lives.
Well, I mean, that's so right. All of you made such great points, and we're going to keep fighting this. And unfortunately, it sounds like we're going to have to keep fighting it for a long time to come because of the lunacy of the establishment, exactly as you said, Matt. All right. Thank you all very much.